What if I told you that one of the biggest, most influential companies in the entire world started with a kid selling matches from his bicycle? It sounds kind of crazy, right? Well, that's the incredible, true story of IKEA. It's a journey from a tiny one-man operation to a global giant that completely changed how we all live. To really get your head around the scale we're talking about here, just think about this number for a second. 800 million. That's how many people walk through an IKEA store every single year. It's just a massive, massive retail empire. And that brings us to the big question, doesn't it? How on earth did an empire that big start with this? A young boy on a bike selling matchboxes to his neighbors. It's a story that's all about a very specific mindset, some incredible innovation, and just unbelievable discipline. To really understand IKEA, you first have to understand where its founder, Ingvar Kamprad, came from. And that place is Småland in Sweden. But here's the thing. It's not just a location on a map, it's a philosophy. It's a whole way of life. See, life in Småland back in the day was tough. We're talking about a place with very little money, scarce resources, and a pretty harsh climate. So being frugal wasn't a lifestyle choice, it was about survival. Wasting anything was basically a sin, and being efficient was the only way to get by. This whole environment didn't just build his character, it literally became the foundation for everything IKEA would one day be. And this comparison right here really gets to the heart of it. Modern culture often tells us to just replace something when it's old. But the Småland value was to repair it, to simplify your life, not just decorate it, and to always, always prioritize how something works over just how it looks. This mindset. This is the secret sauce behind IKEA. Okay, so you've got this philosophy of thrift and function totally ingrained in him. How did Kamprad actually apply that to a business? Well, his first few ventures led him to a single brilliant idea, an idea that would completely revolutionize an entire industry. This guy was a born entrepreneur. Seriously. At just 5 years old, he was already in business, buying matches in bulk and selling them for a small profit. By the time he was a teenager, he was selling fish, seeds, and pens, all from his bike. From day one, he learned the most important lesson in business. You have to control your costs if you want to keep your prices low. And when he finally registered his business at 17, he didn't go hire some fancy branding agency. Nope, the name IKEA is a direct link right back to his roots. It's his initials, Ingvar Kamprad, the name of his family farm, Elmtard, and his home village, Oggenarid. It's this constant reminder of where this global giant actually came from. So when Kamprad decided to start selling furniture, he immediately hit a wall. I mean, think about it. Traditional furniture is a logistical nightmare. It's huge, it's heavy, it costs a fortune to ship, and it gets damaged all the time. This one problem was threatening to kill his entire low-cost business model. And then, the breakthrough. And it wasn't some complex formula or high-tech invention. It was just simple observation. He literally watched one of his employees take the legs off a table to jam it into a car and had that aha moment. That's it. That's the solution. You pack it flat. It's a masterclass in how the most revolutionary ideas are often hiding in plain sight. But look, you can't just come up with an idea like flat pack furniture and expect everyone to be happy about it. As IKEA's low-price model started to take off, the old guard, the established industry, fought back hard. And that pressure, it would actually force IKEA to become even stronger. The competition was furious, absolutely livid. IKEA's low prices were a direct threat to their entire way of doing business. So the Swedish furniture makers all got together and organized a boycott. They cut off his supply, refusing to sell him anything, basically trying to starve him out of business. But this is where Kamprad played his masterstroke. Instead of giving up, he turned their own weapon against them. First, he started buying from manufacturers in other countries, which actually gave him even more control over costs. Then he started designing his own unique products in-house. And finally, he opened the very first IKEA showroom so customers could see and touch the furniture for themselves. The boycott didn't kill IKEA. It ended up making IKEA what it is today. So as the company starts expanding all over the world, the next big challenge becomes, how do you scale that Småland mindset? Right? How do you get thousands of employees in dozens of countries to think like a frugal farmer from Sweden? The answer was to bake those core values right into the company's DNA. Everything at IKEA had to revolve around these 4 pillars: being totally obsessed with costs, keeping things as simple as possible, taking personal responsibility, and always having a sense of humility. And let me tell you, this wasn't just some fluffy mission statement on a poster. This was real. It was practiced every single day. Employees, even top executives, were expected to fly economy class and stay in budget hotels. Every single decision was all about one thing: keeping prices low for the customer. The company culture directly fueled the business model. And this brings us to the most fascinating part of the story, the man himself, Ingvar Kamprad. Because here's a guy who built one of the world's largest fortunes, but his personal life was a masterclass in the exact same frugality he preached at work. He's a total paradox. His philosophy on money was incredibly simple. He believed that wealth wasn't something you should show off. It was a tool, a resource that should be put right back into the business to make it stronger, better, and more affordable for everybody. And nothing, I mean nothing, captures this better than the famous story about his car. For years, one of the richest men on the entire planet chose to drive a 20-year-old Volvo. It wasn't an act, it wasn't for show. It was just who he was. It was the small-end mindset in action. So when you put that personal modesty, that old Volvo, right next to the sheer scale of the empire he built, it's just mind-blowing. We're talking over 460 stores in more than 60 countries with 800 million visitors a year. His discipline didn't just save him a little money, it built a global giant. So what's the ultimate lesson from the IKEA story? I think it's this. Real, lasting success doesn't always come from having the most money or the fanciest technology. It's so often built on a foundation of relentless discipline and the simple genius of seeing a solution that everyone else just missed. And that leaves us with one final question to think about. What simple, everyday problems are we all overlooking right now? Where is the solution hiding in plain sight, just like a table leg waiting to be removed? What is going to be the next IKEA?